Going forward, just every leader, I mean, the minute some guy says something, people are tweeting about it now. People are then commenting on it. And I don't think we've begun to fully understand the implications of this. There's a huge richness coming up from below. That's, you know, Kurt's point. Government's job, I think, is going to be increasingly, how do we enable that, inspire it, edit it so we get the best out of it and suppress the worst or the most vile. But the old top-down model, you know, of command and control, that is so over. And that's what this place was about. This place was the pyramids.
And especially control of information.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The interesting thing here is how well it was used for organization. Yeah. They were able to communicate with each other about organizing, you know, and bringing people together and getting them to the right place. And also using it to throw off authorities who they knew were tracing them one way or the other, who had some access to the same kind of technology.
And the thing that struck me, you know, being in the square, it happened again today, but it's happened every day. I would, you know, I'm sort of old-timer. I'm used to the days where, can I get your name, maybe just your first name, you know, or something. And it's, no, Yusuf bin Mohammed, and that's Mohammed with 2 M's. I'm 39 years old. I work here. I want my name in your paper, you know. I want people to know I am here. Most of all, I want Hosni Mubarak to, could you email him your story, just so he knows I'm here. That's what's going on.
All right, but let me go finally, before we end this conversation, to this idea that people who concern themselves about autocracy of a different kind, people, and it's not just in terms of stability, which is a word that we have discussed earlier, people who concern themselves about an autocracy of another kind, or people who say, I worry that we maintain the kinds of institutions without the kinds of abuse we have had. How do we make sure that we don't
get overwhelmed by everything coming up? You know,
we don't lose it. We create something remarkable with huge potential. And we lose it. Or, as Secretary Clinton said, somebody hijacks it.
You know, there's in every one of these revolutions, these transitions to democracy, we've seen one of my real teachers on this, Larry Diamond at Stanford, you know, said to me the other day, you know, you got to know when to start it and also when to stop it and then move to a political arena. And I just came here from a press conference of the young leaders who had just announced a kind of bigger council of elders or wise men that they will be calling on to do that. So if it is true that Mubarak has stepped down, stepped back, retired, ceded power today, it is really vital now that that legitimacy in the square translate itself into 2 things. One is a platform, an agenda. Here's what we want. And legitimate authorities to negotiate that on their behalf. That's going to be very important because, you know, the army's also had kind of a nice ride here, you know. But if they are now, if they have pushed Mubarak out, they are going to have to be in a negotiating process here. And the question is, do they get it? Do they get it that this only ends when Egypt is on a stable transition to democracy, and the army has got to be part of that. And that means their perks, their privileges, at some point may be up for negotiation as well. Not right away, but that's going to be part of the process as well.
I mean, it is clear that in fact, as you said, things have changed. And the question is whether parties who may not have the same interest, if the president, and I've just heard through a communication with me from the control room that he's announced that he's going to speak tonight.
Oh, interesting.
So if he's announcing he's going to speak, he wouldn't be speaking unless he had something to say that was important. So we assume he's going to make an important announcement.
I assume he's out of the picture one way or another.
That the parties, and this is what is so dicey, are prepared to listen to each other. That it is not everybody say, I won, you lost, you know, you'll listen to me. But that in a sense,
it's a good instinct, Charlie.
You take what is possible and make sure that no one thinks that they have the only answer as to where the future can be.
Well, I think, you know, if they can translate what the young people there call really the spirit of Tahrir, which is precisely that. We are here as Christians and Muslims. We are here as, rich and poor. We're here as countryside and city, okay? And we're all really trying to respect each other. If Mubarak steps out of the way, there was such anger, such rage, and again, it's that sense of theft. This guy stole my future. I don't want to see him for another day. I think if he steps out of the way, it's going to unlock then a lot of really healthy, because so much was focused on him. It's going to unlock a lot of healthy thinking, but it also will unlock tensions of people who do have different views now of how we use this legitimacy to promote what platform, what agenda, at what speed. And so this will take a really interesting turn going forward. I'm still hopeful. I think that's what we should all be. And I really hope now the United States, and not just the United States government, because we didn't start this. We didn't, we so exaggerate, our role, and everything gets turned into, is Obama up, is he down? I think what's really important is that democracy groups in America, like NDI and different NGOs that are involved in democracy promotion. I was talking to one of the older people in the square, but a doctor who's definitely part of this process. He said, what we desperately need are the building blocks of civil society. See, Mubarak never let us have that. The only people who have it are the Muslim Brothers. So they have real powerful NGOs. They have the ability to organize. They have a political arm. The amorphous, authentic, very powerful group, and they don't have that. And the best thing we can do, two things we could do for Egypt that would, one is at the NGO level, get over here. Get over here and simply volunteer, not to order, not direct, not to dictate, but to say, do you need to know how to organize these kind of things? Here's our experience.
Egypt can now open itself up to all of the intelligence and all of the creativity in the world to join their own process.
And the other thing, just one last thing that we could do, if I were Obama, I'd say, well, look, we give Egypt $1 billion plus in military aid every year. I have ordered, President Obama, or I'm going to negotiate with the Congress. We're going to start by taking $100 billion out of that military budget, okay? And we are going to build 10 science and technology high schools, starting one in Aswan, right up the Nile, right up to Alexandria. We're going to name each one after Ahmed Zueil, or call one of the Egyptian Nobel Prize winning chemist, okay? Because what this country desperately needs and desperately craves are the tools of a modern education. The talent is here, the brain power is here, but they have not been given that opportunity. If Obama said that, okay, he could reverse our position here overnight.
Finally, I just heard another report that the Army may not let the President speak, which says all the things that we've been hearing here, which makes this story both extraordinary, and all of us in the end don't exactly know where the next but we do know this, and I want to sum up on this. This has been a moment in history that will change things. So if you write a column, and will be writing a column, if this is the first draft, as journalism is, the significance of this revolution, what's in the first paragraph?
Charlie, I go back to this sense of authenticity. So I went to school off Tahrir Square in 1974. I studied Arabic for a summer at the American University in Cairo and been covering this region ever since. And really, it's been an unending tale of inauthentic politics. Parties started by governments or, inspired or paid for or whatnot. I've just never seen anything like this. That is so, it has a truth to it. It has and again, I just so wish everyone could see this. Everyone could touch this. I've never seen anything like this that is this authentic in this part of the world. And that's what everyone's going there to touch. There are, in some ways, Charlie, there are like two Meccas now in the Middle East. There's the Mecca in Saudi Arabia, where you go to get closer to God if you're a Muslim. And now there's one in Tahrir Square, where you go, okay, to touch, smell, taste, and celebrate freedom. And that's what's going on here. Don't know how this ends. I have no idea. Hoping, for a good result. Fighting with that voice in my head that says there aren't a lot of happy endings out here. But I tell you one thing, it is real, it is legitimate. Pack your bags if you're a journalist or historian. Come over here, touch it. This play you've just never seen before.
Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
Great to have you.
Great to be here.
Tom Friedman of the New York Times, historic moment, a story unfolds. We will continue to follow it. Thank you for joining us from Cairo. See you next time. Funding for Charlie Rose has been provided by the Coca-Cola Company, supporting this program since 2002. And American Express. Additional funding provided by these funders.